So, welcome back to the Soul Confetti podcast. And today's guest is Tristan Jacobsen. And Tristan and I met kind of crazily and have a lot of synchronicities. So, he commented on a Facebook post or two, and we just started chatting. He is originally he is from my hometown in a crazy way, and no longer lives here, but is all the way across the world in Australia, and we have connected and our synchronicities are crazy. And so I'm going to let Tristan tell you a little bit about himself and we're going to have a conversation. So, Tristan, welcome to the Soul Confetti podcast.
Thank you so much, Carrie. It is a pleasure and honor and privilege to be here in this sacred space with you. And yes, as Carrie alluded to, we have numerous synchronicities. We both lived in Asheville. I lived there for 22 years. And Carrie had a yoga studio as a yoga teacher. And I always wanted to go to her studio, but I was quite content practicing at the studios I was at. I was at Asheville Community Yoga with Maeve Hendricks and Michael Johnson. And then I practiced at West Asheville Yoga with Sierra Hollister. And then I moved to Weaverville and was practicing at Weaverville Yoga. And so it never really synchronized, although I always eyed your studio and I liked your offerings. And I
You.
always wanted to go, but then COVID came and did you under, and as it did many mom and pops, and it was a
Right.
design move by the powers that be. So unfortunate, but I'm really grateful. I really love what you have, Carrie, and we're kindred spirits as Scorpions. You being an October Scorpion, me being a November Scorpion, and you are a beautiful mother and a wife, and you are an author, are you not? Did you not write a
I
book?
am. I
Yeah.
have four. I have
Four
a
books.
poetry, yeah, I have a poetry book and then three collaboratives that I've done. So
One of them is the fear of, what is it
it's
called?
called, it's called The Other Side of Fear.
The other side of fear. Yeah. Yeah. I love the title. The other side of fear is love, right? Faith or love over fear. Yeah.
Yes.
Connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being fear is
Wonderful.
vibrational, love, joy, peace is high vibrational. So if we live in fear, it is very hard to live in love and peace if you live in this foundation of fear.
Yes. And fear blocks manifestation. So the powers that be know this and they really want to truly keep us in a 3D vibration. You know, we talk about levels of consciousness, 3D, 4D, 5D, and above. So there's different levels of consciousness, and a 3D level of consciousness is you work, you have children, you have a job, you retire, you die, and that's a 3D construct, you know, very
All the shoulds.
physical, material, yeah. But then we can evolve into 4D consciousness, which is more empathic, more spiritual, more loving. But 5D collective consciousness is unconditional love, and it is the absence of fear. And I am one of many who have volunteered in this incarnation at this particular time to raise the collective frequency into 5D consciousness, which is pure love. And it takes a lot of work, and we're boots on the ground. We're angelic beings that have come into this incarnation at this particular point to bring the love and be the love and be the light and raise the collective frequency out of collective 3D dark compressive control and power into the vibration of love, which was the pre-Atlantean and Lemurian timelines of 7D. It's even higher than 5D. It was the 7D collective vibration before the draconians and other malevolent off-world beings came in and devolved us into 3D vibration. So now this particular incarnation we're on is so interesting for those that are fully awakened, and we call it the awakening journey. And those that are awakening now, I welcome you into the journey of awakening. And it is a journey beyond the realm of religion. I'm not a religious person, but I'm deeply spiritual. And there's a difference between religion and spiritualism. You know, religion is it's like there's dogma and there's these rules and there's these beliefs, and I try and transcend beliefs and identity and ego. that's my work, is to evolve past that. And it's hard because we are human, yes.
Correct.
But when we can raise our frequency beyond the ego, right or wrong, or there's a saying by Rumi, there's a field, out beyond a field. I can't quote it, but there it's beyond right and wrong, beyond ego, beyond belief. I'll meet you there in that field. And that's a mantra that I like to live by, trying to raise the collective frequency. And it's all inner work. So the
Yes,
more I can heal my inner world, the more the outer world really just changes. And the work is all within. It's all within.
it is. It is. So what sent you on this journey? What was your life like before you awakened and how did this journey come about for you?
That's a great question. So my whole work has been, I was born into a very dysfunctional family, a lot of addiction in my family. I became addicted to drugs early on and alcohol and different things and sex and just seeking relief and escape. I was mood altering my whole life,
Hmm.
just trying to find some relief from all the pain and not just this lifetime, but thousands of other lifetimes of pain and suffering and hardship. And and the whole journey has been healing. So I became a pharmacist and was practicing as a pharmacist. And you can imagine what that was like, in an addiction mindset. And so
Yeah.
um, about 2011, it all hit when I had to surrender my pharmacy license due to my drug use.
Oh.
And it stripped me of my identity because I worked very hard. I went to school for 7 years and obtained a PhD in pharmacy. And when the license was taken from me, it really was a tower moment, a true tower moment. It's like, oh my God, what am I going to do to make money? I had two small children, a wife, and fortunately, my ex-wife, who's we're still friends, and the mother of my two children, a
Hmm.
beautiful soul, um, she was able to earn a living and then send me to rehab. And I started my healing journey back in 2011. I've always been a seeker and deeply spiritual. I was Christian and then Buddhist and seeking God outside myself, an external God, until I really and it's interesting, Carrie, because my healing journey and my spiritual journey are one and the same. So as
Yes.
I became more healed, I became more spiritual, and I found my true divine essence. And it was healing a lot of shame. I felt less than and not good enough and unworthy and
All
low
those things.
self-esteem. Yeah,
Which is ego
all the characters.
based. Yeah.
Yeah, all
The
the
ego based.
ego-based stuff, right. And my whole recovery journey was healing that shame and guilt and fear and realizing that not only am I not a bad person, I'm pretty fucking awesome. I became a 12-step sponsee and
Okay.
sponsor and then worked the steps in several programs, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and then Refuge Recovery and Al-Anon, and did began my healing
Wow.
journey in a very tangible physical way. I healed the shadows and did the 12 steps, and it's a spiritual journey, and I had great sponsors and then became a sponsor myself and started helping others heal from their addictions, and
Which I think
that
is
led to,
inevitable, right? It's inevitable when you heal your pain, you almost it's a calling to help others heal their pain. And that's
yeah,
such a beautiful thing.
it's a beautiful journey because as the wounded healers, right, we heal ourselves through that. And so I really helped a lot of people working with men because you don't transcend gender in the programs because that's called 13th stepping. And I really was clear on my boundaries. I wanted to really heal this trauma and pain. At that time, I began practicing yoga on the
Uh-huh.
advice of a therapist I was seeing. And yoga was phenomenal. I remember my first yoga session. I went to Asheville Yoga Center and the room was very crowded. It was like a 10 o'clock yoga session with a woman, a divine feminine named Paige Gilchrist. And Paige was a very healed feminine, and she was a beautiful soul. And I walked into the room and there were maybe 40 people. It was a very popular class. And no one told me to show up 15 minutes early. So I was on time, but the yoga session had already started. There was one spot in the class right in front of Paige at the
Oh,
front of
wow.
the room. Super hard, right? Like, and I felt like everybody was watching me. I was sweating my ass off. To make it worse, there was a one of the yoga practitioners was someone I knew from AA, and he was very physical, very experienced at yoga. It seemed very easy for him, and I'm watching him and Paige and struggling to do the poses and feeling like, oh shit, all my shadows were there on the yoga floor. I like felt like I'm not good enough. People are watching me. What's wrong with me? I can't do this. And at the end of that hour of struggling through those poses and trying to do yoga for the first time ever, I reached out to this man. His name is Michael. And I gave him a hug. I said, Michael, I can't do this shit. And Michael said, it's not about the poses, Tristan. And I got a little angry. I'm like, what do you mean it's not about it's about the fucking like I
Right.
couldn't do it. He's like, it's just about being in the room and breathing
Yep.
and surrendering and letting go. And he gave me a big hug. And then Paige overheard this and she gave me a hug. And it was a beautiful moment because I felt peace wash over me in a beautiful way. I felt love, surrender, acceptance, compassion. And then I got in my car and I literally was floating because the Shavasana had
Yeah.
worked, the yoga had worked and that feeling of peace that I've been seeking for through drugs and, all the addictions really washed over me in a beautiful way. And I realized that there's a more natural approach to find that relief and release that I was seeking my whole life. And I began practicing yoga and went 3 or 4 times a week and became an avid yogi and, practiced
Amazing.
Nyasa flow, slow flow, yin yang. I practiced Kundalini. Kundalini was beautiful. And during COVID, when the studios were shut down, there was this Airbnb run by Daniel Stone Street and his partner. And it was in towards Black Mountain. They had a beautiful property owned by Daniel's father.
Uh-huh.
And we all were awakened, so we never would wear masks, but they had a beautiful room by a stream, and
Mm.
it was a sacred space, and we would all practice yoga there during COVID.
Oh,
And it was
amazing.
magical because it was amazing. It was so beautiful that we had that beautiful space. And a lot of awakened people were there. And it was a beautiful community in Asheville towards Black Mountain where we would practice yoga together. And we had a wonderful yoga teacher, and he practiced Kundalini. His name was Stephen Mucciarone. I don't know if you know him, but he was an
I don't.
Aquarian. And he was so devout in the practice. He knew all the mantras, all the kriyas. He was really very learned and a true student of yoga. And he taught me so much. And it was a beautiful sacred space that we create
I wish
in
I'd have
in
known about it. I would have been there.
Absolutely, absolutely. What a gift it was to be in that sacred space with those beautiful souls, and many of which are still friends on the journey. And Stephen Mucciarone was a great divine god of a teacher, and he also taught at Weaverville Yoga too.
Okay.
And I don't know where Steven is now, but if Steven, if you're out there, I love you, man. And thank you so much for all the love. And Daniel, I love all these people. Carrie was there and so many wonderful people. I've forgotten the names of some of the people. Glenn was there. And it was just a magical time in a very dark world. It was a light of luminescence and beautiful magic and love and
Well, and that
community.
connection, I mean, that's what we all lost, right? Was connection with each other during COVID. And you were able to maintain that. And that's
Yeah, there was no
what a
six
blessing.
feet or any of that shit because we were all fully awakened. We all saw the darkness and the dark oppressive control that they were trying to force on down our throats. And we were like rebels. We were like, nah, we're not going to do this.
Right.
We're not going down that dark road. And so we would hug and dance and sing and do the mantras and the kriyas together and meditate. And it was a beautiful sacred space. I wonder if it's still there. because Hurricane Helene might have damaged the
Might.
property. I'm not sure. But I'll reach out to Daniel Stone Street and see if he still has that beautiful property.
Yeah.
And people
Wait,
have
I
lived
had,
there.
was
Yeah.
his wife Yana?
I think so. Yeah. Do you
Yeah,
know
they used to
her?
come to my studio. Yeah. Yeah, she and her
Another
daughter.
synchronicity.
I,
Sinking, sinking, sinking. Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah. And that,
crazy.
aren't they beautiful souls? Aren't
They
they
are.
wonderful?
They are. I
Magical.
miss so many people from my studio. So,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
so many amazing people came to my studio, and I don't, I miss the space. I miss the people. I miss the potential that we had. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
It is
And
crazy. And our journey leads us to where our journeys go. But I want to talk about ascension and
yeah,
the rising out of the 3D into a 5D collective vibration. So the inner work is essential. So we really have to do a lot of inner shadow work. And that's what I really am, a shadow master. I really look at my dark shadows of trauma wounds, and not just in this lifetime, but thousands of other lifetimes, and continue to feel that pull. Whenever I'm triggered, it's a great gift. I don't get triggered often, but when I get angry, or my ego wants to, like, direct the show, I really
right.
have to step back and say, whoa, wait a minute, there you are. And I really have the awareness now to say shh, and go within and get quiet and get peaceful. I realize that there are tools, many tools that can help us rise in collective frequency. And there is a frequency war, make no mistake. There is a frequency war on our vibration. They want to keep us trapped in 3D so they can control us. But when we rise out of the 3D and clear density and clear these shadows and rise to love and light, it's a beautiful journey of love that we can rise to, and it takes work. It's work, and every
Hard
day,
work. Yeah.
I am one of many, yeah, that really love to do the hard work. As Scorpions, we're natural evolutionaries, right? We love to evolve and grow and heal any shadows and any wounds. We're the masters of that, the alchemists and the transmuters.
It
And
almost
so
becomes addictive, like with the knowledge and the feeling and the shifts. You're like, oh, I want a little more of that. How do I find a little more of that? Where can I go deeper? Yeah. Where can I shine light on that darkness?
it's
Yeah,
a beautiful journey to shine the light on the darkness. And we are all dark and light. We all have these aspects of us, right? And we've
absolutely.
been in past lives, we've been the dark ones, we've been the rapists, the murderers, the really dark souls. We played the roles of many, and we have that dark and light within us. And when we can rise to the level of love and heal those shadows and those wounds, a beautiful vibration occurs, and we rise in frequency into the light. And I believe that this incarnation of them all, Carrie, is the one where we can really shift the whole planet into a beautiful frequency back to love and sharing the Christ consciousness. We talk of Christ and Yahshua, and Yahshua was the ultimate. And what did he extol? Well, Christ is mercy and compassion, kindness, forgiveness, understanding, sharing, caring. If you
Right.
had to define love, it would be the mercy, the all the beautiful consciousness of love, right? And so that's what Christ consciousness is. And people who have volunteered in this particular incarnation to shift the planet back to its pre-Atlantean Lemurian timelines, and even greater is what I'm being shown. We can really raise these frequencies back into super high love and super high light, and the vibration of love itself, which is Christ consciousness. And
So if,
so, yeah.
if some of our listeners and viewers they don't understand maybe the Lemurians and how would you explain that to someone who didn't know about them?
Well, it's kind of hidden from the collective knowledge because the victors rewrite history.
Mhm.
But what they've erased is our lineage, and we really were super high vibration. We had a frequency of very high civilization called Atlantis and Lemuria. And Atlantis and Lemuria were the super high frequencies of 7D love and light before we were hijacked by off-world, other-world beings that came in and reprogrammed our DNA into carbon-based. We were crystalline, and we're returning to crystalline-based structure. It's light beings that we're returning to. So it's kind of hard to fathom this, but yes, we were a very advanced civilization. We had technologies that exceed that what we have today. We had free energy, all the beautiful codes were there. And so we're restoring those grids back to their original blueprint and beyond what Lemuria and Atlantis were. We can really rise even above that. Spirit is saying that we can become light beings and just really emanate the beauty and the sharing and caring despite all this oppressive war and dark control, and like they're really throwing all the cards out on the table right now to keep us trapped in a fear vibration. Anything they can
Hmm.
do to keep us trapped in this 3D, 4D. But once we rise above the 3D and 4D, they no longer have control because service to self entities, dark service to self entities, can't rise to unconditional love. They
No.
can't rise above 4D because 5D is unconditional love, and 7D it just becomes more and more light and love and plasma and just really beauty, Christ consciousness, and they can't rise to it. So they really are pulling all the cards out on the table to try and keep us trapped. So my work is to release identity, release ego, release any woundings, and just come into unconditional love and be that love and that light on this planet at this time. So service has been a big mainstay for me. I'm a gene key 44, which is the sinner key and the team worker, the service.
Uh-huh.
And being a light path 7 also, I'm the healer, the psychic, the spiritual one. So combined with all the Scorpio, I have 8 planets, planetary bodies in Scorpio, mostly all in the first house. So I have a
Wow.
very powerful chart that I came into to this incarnation with, and agreed to volunteer and be boots on the ground and take on all this density and darkness and clear it and transmute and alchemize. And that's what I do every day. Now that I don't work a 3D job, I'm really free to do the work 24/7. So I'm united. I have a network of powerful healers all through the planet. And I find the most high vibration people I can and network with them and unite in beautiful harmony and love in order to raise the frequencies of love. Most of the divine, this is the rise of the divine feminine. We all have feminine and masculine aspects, right?
Right. Yes.
And so, but the divine feminine has been very suppressed and oppressed because the patriarchy is really suppressing and wounding the feminine. We talk about the exploitation and the suppression of the female energies, the divine feminine. And we really need the divine feminine to rise because this is the love and nurturing and surrender and all the feminine virtues that really will heal this masculine wounding. Toxic masculine is what's running the planet right now.
I feel like it's a lot of wounded feminine to the
Well, the
emotional.
feminine has been wounded by the
Yeah.
masculine, like
That's,
through thousands of lifetimes, not just in this lifetime, but the feminine being soft and surrender and the nurturer and the creator of life.
we're not
It's
able to just be in that feminine, which
yeah,
is nurturing and loving and all the things that hold us in those sacred spaces.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the restoration of the divine feminine, if the masculine can rise out of these wounds and be the protector and provider for the feminine, because that's our role as men. We have 2 roles: to protect the feminine so she can feel safe. And when the feminine feels safe, she creates her magic, and all the creation of life is there, and the nurturing and the love and the support is there. But if she feels oppressed by a wounded masculine, of course, there's going to be the wounded feminine. And we can see that all through our collective, in this 3D, we can see the wounded masculine and the wounded feminine, right?
Yeah.
But
Yes.
this is the healing of all that dark shit that has occurred, not through this lifetime, but thousands of other lifetimes. It's the healing of the feminine and the healing of the masculine. And when we can come together in a conjoined healing space and heal the aspects of feminine and masculine within us, it really creates that beautiful field of unconditional love, which is the rise in frequency. And
Right. The
yeah,
balance. I
yeah,
mean, just balance
balance,
would be
balance,
healthy.
balance. Yeah. And it's funny
Definitely.
you speak of balance because I'm with a Libran and my goddess is all about balance. She's teaching me balance. I don't even know what balance is. I've lived my life on the extremes. I've been so extreme, double Scorpio and a Gemini moon in the eighth house of Scorpio. I only know extremes. So she's really
Right.
teaching me what balance is. And it's really creating that beautiful equilibrium. And it's all about balance, balancing our feminine and masculine aspects, balancing the yin and yang, balancing the dark and the light within us, balancing, all these things. It's all about balance, really, at the end of the
Right.
day. So I'm learning a lot from my goddess, and my beloved, is teaching me many things, and I am a student and just open to learning and
Yeah,
healing.
just your relationship is balancing, right? Because she's pulling you from those edges to bring you back to safer spaces.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm providing and protecting and doing what I can as a healed masculine, creating that beautiful space where she can find her magic and because she has been through some dark men in her lifetime,
Mhm.
and to be with a man that wants to heal and wants to really stick by her side and be her God, and she could be my goddess, and we can stick by each other side by side. It's a beautiful journey. Now, she had an unexpected death in the family. Her uncle died and she was very close to him, and he has five
Of
children
course.
that are very close to Aludra. My goddess is
Um,
named Aludra Jane. And so we're headed down to Sydney about 3 hours today to be support to her family
I'm
and
so
provide the
sorry.
love and be their rock. No, it's really hard. Yeah. And it was really interesting. He was 78 years old. He's a Scorpion too. His name is Kim. And Kim has five children, and he traveled to China. He loved traveling. He was on the Silk Road in a remote place in China, and he had a fall off the bus and had a brain aneurysm. And then we
Oh,
thought he was going to recover, and he suddenly had a heart attack and he passed. And
uh,
his body is in a remote place, and it's going to take 3 weeks to get it back. The children are really struggling with his death. And so we're going to be supportive and nurturing in whatever way we can and
so
be the
sorry.
rock. It's really, and it's a short incarnation, but Ralutra and I realize there is no death. Now, the children don't realize that there is no death, that we're eternal souls. And so
Right.
it's really hard for them because the grief is very sudden and very immediate and very immense. And so they're thinking that he's gone forever, and they don't realize that we, are eternal souls, and that, Kim transitioned and he's on the other side. And the morning that he transitioned, I told Aludra that one of her, she has these salt lights, and one
Uh,
of the salt lights in the kitchen flickered 4 times. And I realized as a medium, I realized that's usually a signal that someone has departed. And I thought it was my Aunt Lila because when my mother's sister transitioned, there were very, like lights would flicker all over the places, glasses would fall off the glass rack and break. And
oh,
Lila
wow.
was communicating in a very direct, very powerful way because we shared a very close bond, my Aunt Lila and I. But Lila hasn't come in for a couple of years, and she transitioned many years ago. But I thought it was Lila, but it was actually Kim communicating from the other side and saying, yeah, I'm transitioning. And so it's
Wow.
beautiful. I'm trying to bring him in from the other side. He hasn't come through yet, but he might when I visit his house in
True.
Sydney. So
True.
I'm holding hope that, I can connect with him on the other side. But
It's
yeah,
amazing
so.
when you're aware of these shifts as people transition or any of these little signs and gifts that you can just it brings such peace. It brings such peace. I'll share a story. Right, but it was probably 2 days before my dad died. I'd been in the garden working, and I was in the tub meditating because that's my favorite place to meditate. And I was praying for my dad. He had lung cancer and was not doing well. And in my meditation, I saw him ascend. And I was like, oh, no, 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 bring my, you're supposed to heal my dad. And it was like 2 minutes, and my mom said, you need to come. And then he passed. That was a Monday afternoon or mid-morning, maybe. And he passed Wednesday morning early. So yeah, I saw him ascend, and that is very comforting knowing. I mean, I knew he was going to heaven anyway. So, but yeah, that one was really hard for me. Yeah,
And as a Scorpion, you have the mediumship gifts too. Yeah, to connect with your dad on the other side. And that's amazing that you got to witness his journey across transitioning over
yeah,
to the other side. Yeah, and that must have been really hard for you, like to see that and realize, oh
it
my
is. And
God. Yeah.
I find I have a hard time getting that deep into meditation now. Um, I'm gonna work. I've been working on it, and that was 3.5 years ago that he passed. So that
Wow.
kind of like, I guess, put a little bit of block in my meditation practice.
And I can understand, it's fully understandable, yeah, how
Yeah.
that occurred, yeah. And so it's healing work, right, that we can all do. We can all go into those shadows and those wounds and see like how that created fear or how that created hurt in you. And
Yeah.
like and
Resistance.
how do you heal that and return back to your deep meditation practice, which is healing for you? I
Yeah.
think your father would want you to return back to your practice and would support you in doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
And his love is coming through from the other side. And he's a guardian angel for you now, Carrie. Do
He
you
is.
feel his love? Does he ever appear to you as a synchronicity, like a bird or a butterfly or a
He
dragonfly?
leaves me feathers all the time.
Feathers, yeah, that
Yeah,
came
my mom
through.
and I were walking around her backyard the other day, and I think we found four feathers. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I know he's
How
watching
cool
over
is that?
us. Yeah.
How awesome.
Yeah,
How
everywhere I
awesome that is.
go, we like I've traveling, and I find feathers everywhere. So I know he's watching over us and keeping us safe and telling me for sure that, he's there. He's there and I'm not alone.
Beautiful. Beautiful that you have those synchronicities and you can see those synchronicities. Yeah, and know when he leaves those feathers, he's also sharing with you that it's safe for you to continue your meditation work.
Yeah.
So maybe go back and when you feel those edges, where do you feel them in your body? And if you had to give them a color, what color would it be? And if you had to give
Mhm.
them a number from 1 to 10, with one being like safe and 10 being like, deadly, where would it fall? And how do you get the colors back to if it's a red or a darker color, how do you get it to a calming blue or green? Or how do you get that
Mm.
number from 10 down to one, where you feel safe enough but allow yourself to feel the uncomfortableness and sit in it and
Yeah.
actually let it wash over you. And you have skills as a yogi, you have skills and tools that many people do not have. So yeah, thanks for
Very true.
sharing that. That is beautiful healing work for you
Thank
right
you.
there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get back into that deep meditative practice, and yeah, I think you're helping me. You give
Yeah,
me that little push.
yes, so Spirit is saying sit in a tub of water and do the breath work and feel the uncomfortable edges and feel that pain of that sudden loss of your father, like crossing over to the other side and that separation and that grief, and where do you feel it in your body and how does it feel? And then just allow it to release. It may take several practices to continue to do that work, that shadow work, but you can do it and return back to that peaceful practice. And realize when your father leaves you feathers, he's sending love. He's
Yes.
sending like that divine love from the other side, and you can return back to that beautiful practice of breathing in the love from him and find gratitude for all the love that your father gave you and just it's a way of returning the love back to him actually by doing this work, by
Mm.
stepping into the uncomfortableness of those shadows and heal it.
I love that thought. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely.
This is the work, this is the work, and it's always there for us, if we choose to really go into those hard, uncomfortable places. Like for me, the shadows of the wounding of wanting to comfort and wanting to mood alter, wanting to return back to using, drugs or alcohol or sex or anything or relationships to soothe myself. But I realized, no, that's not my path. It's my path to soothe it naturally and through breath work and through feeling, allowing myself to feel the discomfort and go into those uncomfortable places and feel the craving or feel the desire or feel the need, to release and relieve the pain. But
Yeah.
allow the pain just to be there. It's okay. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. I give myself permission to feel those woundings and those dark shadows, and then it will pass. In time it will pass. Grounding helps, breath work, meditation, yoga, connecting with nature. My
Yeah.
goddess loves nature, man. She has a travel van, which is a gift, and it's like a hotel on wheels. It has a very comfortable
Nice.
bed, has a refrigerator, has solar power, has
Oh,
everything
wow.
but a shower and a toilet. Now we can pee and poop in the woods, When you get a shower, there's travel parks, caravan parks, they call them here in Australia, where you can pay a small amount of money and get a hot shower. And
Nice.
so if we're on the road for a couple of days, we can really, it's really beautiful that we have that. And we have fresh food, we have a stove to cook on, propane stove, and we can
Sounds
really get out
fabulous.
into the woods. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Sydney's going to be beautiful. We're going to park. We're not going to go into her uncle's place. We're going to stay in her van and
Uh-huh.
sleep overnight for 2 nights. And she knows some beautiful places because she was born in Sydney, which is
Okay.
about 3 hours south of Nelson Bay. And so we're going to go and spend 3 days and 2 nights in nature and then be with her family. And it's beautiful that we have this beautiful gift to be able to get out into nature, which is very beautiful. And it really sustains us. We both love getting our bare feet on the ground and getting into the water. There's lots of streams and pools to swim in and connecting with trees
Waterfalls.
and animals. There's
Yeah.
koalas and kangaroos and
I've got
wombats.
to
And
come visit.
please do, Carrie. We have a beautiful room for you. And Aludra would love your energy. I showed her to you and she connected with and you can connect in a very physical way with her. She's available. She's still asleep because it's 7:44 a.m. and she had a hard night. We deal with energies and the energies are very high. The Schumann resonance, the frequencies are very high right now. And sensitives like Aludra and I feel all these energies, and it's very challenging. We feel hot flashes, joint pains, a lot of dark stuff comes through. It's really hard. We feel a lot of feelings come through, but it's very physical, the ascension process. And
Yeah.
those that are sensitive feel all these feelings as we're rising from a 3D vibration into a 5D frequency and even 7D. So it's something we agreed to as volunteers to come in to experience these frequency shifts, but they're massive and the spikes have been that you can see them. I mean, it's called a whiteout when the Schumann frequencies come through.
Uh-huh.
It's a tangible chart. You can look up Schumann, Schumann
Uh-huh.
frequency, and there's a chart and graphs, and there are timeline shifts on there with blackouts and whiteouts, and we
Wow. I've heard
we
of it,
can.
but I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, are you sensitive energetically? Do you feel the frequencies and the vibrations coming in?
I, I'm getting there. I definitely do around people. Like people either drain me or fill me, for sure. And sometimes if I'm still long enough, I feel things. And it is being that, being that presence is when we get to, I think everybody has the ability if we just want to. And I think that's what you're saying, right? Like to shift the collective is to like touch people and awaken them to come along on this journey. Yeah.
And I can only really help people awaken through my light. And if they're attracted to my light and my love and the peace that I radiate and illuminate, that is the greatest way to help people awaken on the
Yeah.
journey. And I've taught many people manifestation, that we're manifestors and, step into the godliness and goddessness.
I love that.
That's hard to say, goddessness and godness and godliness, and we're all bits and sparks of divine source light. And
Yeah.
stepping into that source light is a integral part of this work on this journey as we transition. But you're an empath, and empaths feel
Yes.
feelings and feel weather changes and shifts. And being sensitive energetically is definitely a part of being on the journey of ascension.
Yes.
As empaths, we're open and we're natural healers and we're natural lovers and we care very deeply. And it's the caring, sharing, and connection to others on the journey that really propels the whole collective forward.
Yeah, I think, and for me, the more I learn and the more I grow, I find grace for other people. And in times that I would have never found grace for people in the past. And I'm like, okay, so this is their trauma, this is their journey, this is their way of dealing with it. And that's where I think that's where I've grown the most is just having that forgiveness and that grace for people that have hurt me or I've witnessed across the board and um, allowing them to have their journey and not trying to step in and say, oh, but do it this way. Or, yeah, that's definitely been a shift.
Yeah, releasing control, criticism, judgment is really
Yes,
hard, right? And wanting to fix change. And like, early on in my recovery journey, when I was that sponsor, I wanted to fix everyone. But I
right,
realized I can't fix anyone. All I can do is, how is the healer? What does the healer do? A healer doesn't heal people. The healer guides people into their own inner healing journey. That
right,
is what a healer truly is. It's just a guide, that's all we can be is a role model and show the way. We can't control, fix, or change because that's operating out of ego. And if I'm operating out of ego mind, ego consciousness, that is never a formula for healing. So it's
right,
releasing the ego, releasing the judgment, and we're all exactly where we're at. That's a saying that Aludra has. We're all exactly where we're at on our journey, and some have agreed to play the role of the dark, in this incarnation. Some have agreed to just have a human journey and not evolve and not heal and not grow. And
true,
it's all beautiful. Earth is so magical in that there's all these different people in different places and hybrid assemblages of different people from different races and different galaxies, all united on this one plane. It's a grand experiment, and such a beautiful, magical incarnation, this one, because we can wake up to the truth of like who we really are and why we're really here. I've always asked the deep questions, and this is scorpionic stuff that we can talk
yes,
about. We ask, what is life about? Who is God? Why are we here? Where do we go from here? What's next? We always ask the deep questions. And I have a set of answers that really work, and it's non-identity and non-ego and really just shifting into a beautiful zero point of unconditional love and being a light being, like transforming all the density and alchemizing all the shadows, not just my own shadows, but collective shadows and collective
right,
woundings. But really, the work is clearly within. So, anytime I'm shifting my work to an external locus, and it never is really congruent with my journey, which is all going within, because the more I can heal Tristan, the more my world around me heals and
yes,
shifts.
yes.
And
Oh,
we have the power. We're so much more powerful than we've ever been told or shown. We are
absolutely.
gods and goddesses in physical form, sparks of collective God,
Yeah.
and
I
the
woke up
more I
this
can,
morning. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, the more we can step fully into our power, the more we can integrate these new codes and frequencies.
Yeah. Yeah, I woke up at 1:30 this morning and uh 1 Corinthians 3 was in my head. And so I had to like turn my phone on and look what that meant. And then I came back home today and I read it again and I was like, it says that God is within us. And basically we should take care of this body because God is within us and we are God and God is us. And that's how I interpreted that whole chapter of Corinthians. And that's exactly what we're saying. Like when we strip away the human form, when we strip away the ego, and we strip away bones and skin, like we are all just light. And ultimately, we are all just love. And that's where we want to be in the physical form. Am I interpreting that correctly?
I don't know if it's a correct interpretation, but I think that the what Yahshua or Jesus said was that you can do these things and even greater than me. And love thy neighbor as thyself. He had some powerful teachings. I love the Beatitudes. They really speak to my heart and soul. Blessed are the meek, blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed, like he really taught the ultimate. He was the compassion teacher before the church bastardized his teachings and turned us into hopeless sinners, and you have to repent and all that, blood of Christ, which is satanic actually, like the whole drink the blood of Christ and eat the body of Christ.
Yeah,
I
that
think,
never settled with me too well.
yeah, yeah. And these distorted teachings really came from Mother Mary and Mother Magdalene.
Hmm.
You know, Mother Mary really was the divine ascended master that taught Yahshua, and she created the Rose lineage, and she was the originator of these great teachings. She was an ascended master that came, Mary Magdalene came and taught Yahshua, and she created the Rose lineage. And so these teachings are really feminine teachings that have gotten distorted through the patriarchy, and it's become a dark system of control in the Vatican. And all these dark truths are coming out. And I went to the Vatican in Rome, and when I visited there, it was very unsettling for me because I pictured what Jesus would have thought of the church, because they have all this marble and jewels and priceless
Mm,
paintings and all these riches are there. And that it's all about money, power, control, and greed. And you can see it clearly for what it is. It's a distortion. Jesus would have turned those tables over and would
right,
have said, it's really about humanitarianism and feed the poor and clothe the, and heal. It was the ultimate compassion and empathy,
right. And
and
all that power and control and wealth is the foundation of fear. It is
yeah,
built on that foundation of fear.
yeah, it's really, if you look at what greed is, it's fear of not having enough.
Right,
And the universe is not even big enough for one greedy human. Because one greedy human can consume it all. And
right,
there's many greedy humans at the top. And we talk about these old power systems, these old draconian systems of government, banking, so-called healthcare, education, energy are all corrupt and all serving a few people at the top, and they're really not rooted in helping anyone. The government does not. The governments of the world are complicit in mass murder, and they really have no interest in serving the people, which is really the role. If we truly were an advanced civilization, Carrie, we would have a wise council of elders. It's kind of like what's coming through is the Lord of the Rings, that ring of power, the ring of
uh,
Mordor. When people put that power, absolute power corrupts absolutely, because very few humans can handle power wisely and skillfully, because the power consumes them and they become obsessed with the control and all the benefits that come with that power. But there's few people on the planet that have the enough humility, a wise council of elders that can really guide and are impervious to the power, but can use the power to really help propel humanity forward. And we really need those wise people that are impervious to the ring of Mordor, the hobbits,
right,
the Frodos of the world and the Sams of the world. That's what we really need, are the hobbits, like the people that have enough humility to really use the power skillfully and wisely, and not really create a beautiful world for themselves and then exploit the people into like creating more for them and less for others. And that's the construct that we really have to overcome, the old patriarchy, the old the old constructs of draconian systems of government, banking, healthcare, education, energy.
Yep.
Those five systems are, and education too. We really need
Absolutely education. Yeah.
overhaul all these systems that are really rooted in the power of the few over. There's a saying from Star Trek: the needs of the few overcome the needs of the many. Where Spock is in one of them, and he's talking to Kirk, and he sacrifices himself because the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few,
Correct.
right? So it is that construct of like, how do we achieve this balance where humanity is really brought at the forefront? And in the age of Aquarius, Aquarian energies are humanitarian, and they're innovative, and they're honest, and they're rebellious. And this is the energy that we need to heal this planet. So we think of
Sure.
Aquarian energies as being very intuitive. Aquarius is very intuitive, it's spiritual, it is humanitarian. Aquarians are honest, they're rebellious, they are outside the box. There are no boxes that can contain Umarians. The Aquarians are thought of as like unique and even freaks, but I think freak is a shaming word. They're very
True.
innovative and there are no boxes. And this
Creative.
is the kind of creative, yeah, imaginative and very intelligent. And this is the set of energies, the exact set of energies that we need to heal this planet is what Aquarian provides. It's innovative and spiritual and intuitive and honest and rebellious and what we see is top to bottom control. We see corporations, governments, military, then off-planet ETs, and it's a very top to bottom system. But in the age of Aquarius, it becomes bottom to top, and we see small healing circles and communities, off-grid communities,
And they're
and
growing. They are growing.
yeah, they're growing. Yeah, and this is the set of energies that will heal the Earth. Is that off-planet, off-grid kind of stuff that is really rooted in love and community and true bottom to top. And there is no control. There's just love and that's the set of energies that really is going to heal this planet. What an exciting timeline we're on. But we can see the divergence between 3D and 5D, right? And so those of us on the 5D ascension journey are really bringing as much love and healing, as much density and going into those shadows and doing the work, the inner healing work of healing generational trauma, healing inner trauma, healing those wounds, healing those shadows. And it'll never be perfect. It's not about perfection, it's about purity. I'm the purity that source
Mm.
desires, you
I love that
know?
thought. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's
if one of our listeners is like, I want some of that,
yeah, so again,
what would you tell them to how to get started on their journey?
by doing the shadow work, by looking at the collective wounds, by looking at their shadows and going into the work and doing whatever tools and skills they can do by seeking someone that is on the journey and getting honest and getting real and really finding a trustworthy person, like a trustworthy person where they can talk about these dark things that, they've experienced in their journey and releasing it. For me, sharing it with someone I trust is cathartic. And I have
Absolutely.
many friends on the journey that I trust and know have my back. So
Yes.
finding at least one person that has your back and developing a relationship with spirit, with source, with God, and realizing that you are a source, you are spirit in a flesh body, and rising to the level of light. So letting go, it's like treading water or a canoe that has a hole in it, right? And if the canoe is sinking, you're bailing water. And
Right.
bailing water is the axe and tools, the treasure chest of recovery tools and all the tools that are there for us, the healing. So any healing you can do, if you're feeling, we all know where our shadows lie. And if you don't, it can be revealed by talking to someone that is on the journey. Like I do a lot of healing work with people, and I've done thousands of readings and healings over my lifetime, and many of them have been free, just giving away the love and
Yeah.
volunteering and doing the shadow work. And that's where the healing lies, is going into shadows and really seeing them, and then sharing them with others, with maybe someone that you trust.
Yeah. Yeah. I've said for years and years that we often don't even know what we're thinking or feeling until we speak it or write it. So I'm a big journaler and tell everybody to journal. But yeah, finding that person that you can say the things to is such a powerful place to start. You know, somebody's not going to look at you like you have three heads and
Someone's not going to stab you in the back and betray you and use the because getting vulnerable is not easy. And that was my whole journey, was learning how to get vulnerable, but
yes,
vulnerable with the right people, the people I can trust, the people that wouldn't take my vulnerability and turn it into like betrayal or
right?
use me or manipulate me, because getting vulnerable is a very scary place, because we're taught to be tough and cover that vulnerability up with toughness, particularly men.
Yes,
Men don't
absolutely.
ever want to get, because when I work with men, it was really interesting because men thought they were tough. Like, I'd say true toughness is sharing your pain and opening up and not being stonewalling me in a
Right,
counseling session. Like, if you're going to stonewall me, that's not toughness, that's fear.
right,
That's fear. Covering up your wounds with toughness, is never. And men are emotional Neanderthals. We're
right.
not as open as women, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, you
working
got
with
to
the men
feel
is,
your way through it. You
yeah, yeah.
absolutely just have to feel your way through it.
Yeah, working with the men has been so challenging. Now, women are usually more able to trust and be vulnerable and be
Mhm.
open. But as a rule, men are very tough and they'll stonewall. But when you get a man to open up and be vulnerable, it takes more courage to be vulnerable than it does to stonewall by far. And a true
Absolutely.
man of courage, a courageous man, is one that can be vulnerable and show his weaknesses, because we're all afraid of being weak as men. We're
Yeah.
afraid of being weak and being, less than, or being the P word, which is pussy,
Yeah.
right? We're afraid of being a pussy
Yeah.
and being a fucking pussy, like, I hate to use exploitive language, but that's what we're afraid of as men. But a true man that's courageous and brave enough to be vulnerable in front of a man that he trusts is true healing. And
Yeah.
that is really the start of a beautiful healing journey, is when you find that trustworthy man that can hold the space for you to be open and say, yeah, I have this fear inside of me. I'm afraid of being perceived as being weak. Even
Right.
starting there is a great place for a man to start.
Yeah.
Being perceived as weak, or being less than, or being not enough, or not being able to support or provide, or not even be able to get a good job or make money, or all the things that men are afraid of, not being strong enough, not being brave enough. That's
And
a
again, we're
beautiful
right
place.
back to that, right? We're right back to that fear being the
Fear.
foundation. Yeah,
Fear, yeah. So fear it's love or fear, really. When you
absolutely.
distill it down, the very essence is, am I coming with love or am I coming with fear? And it's love over fear is the whole ascension journey. If we can rise to love over the fear, that is the whole ascension journey in a
Ascension.
nutshell, is rising to love over the fear, over the
Yep.
programming, over the conditioning, over the trauma, over the wounding, because there's so much wounding, in the collective. And when we can rise to heal that wounding by bravely stepping forward and saying, I am ending this shit, I'm breaking these chains.
Yep.
One of the greatest parts of my journey, Carrie, that I want to share is that both my children are not addicted. I really was able to smash the chains. My ex-wife was not an addict, and she provided a strong foundation for them. But my daughter is a mega healer. She works in New York City with a program called Girls on the Run. And
Oh
Girls on,
yeah.
you know about it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful program of empowerment for young girls from grades 3 through grades 8. And they actually teach them and train them to work together to run a marathon. And it's so empowering for a young girl to work collaboratively and not competitively against
Yes.
other women, but work collaboratively and express their feelings, and grow together and heal together. And running this marathon is so empowering for them, because they achieve something great, and it's greater than the sum of the parts of what they have. They work together.
I love
And
it.
And my daughter is a mega power healer. She's athletic. She is so much the leader, healer, teacher that I'm very proud of my daughter. She's fierce and brave and feminine, and she has her masculine elements and feminine elements, and she's very much aligned with her path. She's a master of life path 11, and she is definitely a spiritual messenger helping these young girls, and she's always been that. She was born into this incarnation to do that healing work. And she's the cusp of magic in Gemini Cancer, and she's very magical. She's very creative, and what a powerful daughter I have. And my
Mm.
son is super powerful. He's a Virgo Libra, the cusp of beauty. And my
Uh,
son is very magnetic and very beautiful and very charming. He's working in IT and he's very powerful. And they're both successful. And I'm grateful to have played a part in their life, and smash the chains of addiction and
right.
trauma. And my daughter and son have both done a lot of healing, inner healing, and can continue to do the work of inner healing on their path. So
Uh,
grateful to have um, been a father, which was not really something I ever wanted, but my ex-wife was such a mother, I couldn't deny her a motherhood. So we had two children, and it was really the greatest gift for me ever was having children because it
wait till you
forced
have
me to
grandchildren.
step outside myself. Yeah, step outside of Tristan and really like have to provide and nurture these beings and be there for them. And all the little acts of service, like taking them to games or picking up from school or helping them with homework or helping build Legos or all the
Mm.
things that we did, wrapping Christmas gifts and all the things that we did for them, helping them with difficult friendships and relationships was a beautiful part of my journey.
Yes.
And really helped me step outside myself. And it was a beautiful part of my own healing because I felt I was too damaged and would traumatize them as a person, but it's
Yeah.
been my gift as being a father on this journey.
Yeah, when you have that self-reflection where you're like, I don't want them to go through this. So I'm not going to
Exactly.
perpetuate that pain onto them.
Oh, so
That's
spot on.
huge. Yeah.
It's so huge. Yeah, I don't want to infect them with these wounds
Right.
that I inherited from my parents and my parents reflecting back did very little inner healing work. They were, clearly trapped in their own trauma and lived. We can just live a route life where we're programmed and conditioned and traumatized and move on our basis of like what we have, or we
Right.
can like see the shadows and really step into the wounds. And so
Yeah.
that's the first part of the journey to answer that question for a viewer that would want to know how to embark on the journey. The Chinese Tao says the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. That
Absolutely.
single step is to propel yourself forward and look at the wounds, look at the inner shadows and really like say, hey, I want to step out of this shell. I really want to propel myself forward on that journey of 1,000 miles by taking that single step forward to look at the healing that needs to occur in me.
Right. Right. Oh,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful. So beautiful. Well, Tristan, any last words of wisdom for our viewers and listeners today?
Just to love yourself and honor yourself and hold yourself in high regard as we're all beings of love and light and peace. And you can find that within. It's all within and letting go of identity, letting go of labels. I really was a label monger. I was a starseed light worker. I'm this, I'm that. But letting
Right.
go and shedding those identities and really just realizing that we're just on a journey towards love and unconditional love
Mm,
and finding those beings. So who you surround yourself with is ultimately who you're going to become. So
yeah.
find the best people that you can find, the most healed people, and surround yourself with those beautiful beings of light and love. And that's who you'll become on your journey because who
Mm,
we surround ourselves with is who we're destined to become. So
yes.
that's the wisdom that I have to offer. And if you want to work with me, I'm available. You can reach me through Facebook Messenger. Um, Tristan Jacobsen on Facebook, and I'm easy enough. I'm really available, and I have a lot of experience as a healer. I worked as in the medical side. I worked on the therapy side. I'm spiritual. I'm intuitive. I'm really pretty well under on my journey, so I can offer a lot. And I work with the healers, so super powerful light worker. And I don't want to make myself, great or anything, but I've done a lot of inner healing work and continue to do the work. And I'm very human and very real and very raw and very honest.
Yes.
So, I'm grateful to help anyone that wants to do the work, reach out to me or even you, Carrie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
So,
definitely. I'll put all your contacts information on the show notes and people can just click on that and find themselves wrapped in your love and your light so you can share your journey and their journey with you. And it's just such a beautiful offering to be able to just share love with each other. Yeah.
that's what it is. It's just a love share, a big love fest at the
Yeah.
end of the day, hugs and love and listening and really hearing, because we can all talk. And I like to really say in words of wisdom, I try not to talk the talk, I try to walk the talk.
Yeah.
I don't show up for many lives. I'm not like out to receive glory. There's people in the spiritual community that are ego driven or charlatans or even money driven. But
Right.
I really try and really truly walk the talk rather than talk the talk.
Yeah. Be the
So
example. Lead by example. Yeah.
yeah, to lead by love and really go and do the work and then show up in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Carrie. It's truly
You're
an honor and privilege and blessing. I'm grateful for the friendship that we have and the love that we share. And thank you so much for allowing me to be on your show today.
Well, I thank you for being here and just sharing your journey, sharing your wisdom, and sharing your light with the world.
Mm.
So, for all our listeners and our viewers, as we in this beautiful conversation, I hope it has brought some love and light into your life, some curiosity if it's not already bubbling up for you. I hope it brings some curiosity of how you can start your healing journey and yeah, just live from love and light and let go of some of the traumas and gosh, I mean, we're all human and we've all been through stuff. And it's time that we can just be and absorb the love that is meant for us as humans. So until next time, listeners and viewers, go love yourself. And I can't wait to see who our next guest is. So thank you so much, Tristan. Let's see.